Okay, so I'm going to read a poem to you. Instructions for Traveling West by Joy Sullivan. It's a book of poetry. Highly recommend. Um, at this time of year, when the weather starts just being beautiful and the mountains become accessible and the sun is shining so brightly and for so long, it spurs in me a desire to explore and to be adventurous and kind of get out there. And the sense of getting out there could be just stepping out your front door and taking a walk. It doesn't have to be going deep into the mountains for a long hike, but really uh, remembering to explore, remembering to step outside of yourself and see what nature has to offer, seeing what happens when you have take the road less traveled. So this is just the beginning of this book. It's not. I guess it's a poem. Yes, it's a poem, but it's the namesake of the book and the kind of beginning. So this is instructions for traveling west. First, you must realize you're homesick for all the lives you are not living. Then you must commit to the road and to the rising loneliness, to the sincere thrill of coming apart. Divorce yourself from routine and control, and instead find a desert and fall in. Take a trail that promises a view. Get lost. Break your toes. Bruise your knees. Keep going. Watch a purple meadow quiver. Get still. Pet trail dogs. Buy a hat. Run out of gas. Befriend strangers. Knight yourself every morning for your newborn courage. Give grief her own lullaby. Drink whiskey beside a 100-year-old cactus. Honor everything. Pray to something unnameable. Fall for someone impractical. Reacquaint yourself with desire and all her slender hands. Bear beauty for as long as you are able. And if you spot a sunning warbler glowing like a prism, remind yourself, joy is not a trick. All right, so settle into your body and your mind. And recognize that poetry can evoke in us a longing for connection and for beauty. And what words speak to you. Bear beauty as long as you are able. That's the one that speaks to me. And drop down into the breath and just start to discover what the aliveness of your body and breath feel like right now. Sometimes you can go adventuring out your door, and sometimes you can go adventuring inside your mind and body. See if your heart can lift just a little bit, not to the point where you're pressing or compressing, but just a sense of freedom and openness. Feel a softness come over your face. As you lift that stout heart, can you feel the energetics of what that does to your being? What can you relax? What can you soften to create more space? Notice if your breath is fully invited to bloom. Are you able to expand both the inhale and the exhale? And when you feel ready, bring your hands together at your heart and offer an intention for your practice for yourself. Relax the hands. Let's find our way onto our back. All right, so as you stretch out and lengthen your body, enjoy just the simplicity of lying down for a moment. Okay, open up through your spine. Take some time, maybe stretching your arms over your head and find some length and some reach and enjoy the right side, enjoy the left side, and just open up through your shoulders, your hips. And then we'll bring our knees into our chest and rock a little bit, swaying from side to side. Let your whole body rock, not just your knees, but your whole body. All right, and then hang on to the knees and circle, kind of roll a few times one way. And then roll a few times the other way. And then we'll open up the knees away from the midline and bring them back in and just enjoy what it feels like to roll around in your hip joints here. All right, and then right knee into your chest. Stretch your left leg long on the ground and let's move around in our ankles. Wiggle through your toes, your feet, your ankles. See what kind of movement is here. Breathing deeply. And then we'll cross that right knee over to the left and stretch open to a twist. Expand open through your heart. Let your head drop deeply into the ground. Full breath in, full breath out. And then we'll come back to center and switch sides. Bring your left knee in, stretch your right leg long, and move around again. Rolling around in your ankles, wiggling through your feet. Breathing deeply. And then we'll cross that left knee over to the right and stretch open. Breathing well. Let your head get heavy. Let your arm drop onto the ground if it can. Right, are you enjoying what you're feeling? And then spread open to a star on the ground. So reach your limbs really wide and roll your wrists and your ankles. Just feel your fingers and your toes touching the edges of your body. Okay, deep breath in. And as you exhale, knees into your chest, pick up your head. One more time. Inhale, expand, open, breathing wide. Exhale, draw it in. Release your head down onto the ground. Bring your arms out to the sides, palms facing up. And then let's go ahead and just rock our knees left and right. Just kind of mobilizing through our hips a little bit, through our back a little bit. Feel free to turn your head in opposition of your knees. All right. Now cross your right thigh over your left thigh. Draw your knees in toward your chest and maybe a little bit of pulsing to see what opening up your hip here feels like. And then lift your legs straight up in the air. Maybe your arms come overhead. So invite your core to strengthen. Drop your ribs down a little bit. Point your toes. And then flex your feet. And maybe point your feet. Point your toes. Point your feet. Flex your feet. And just enjoy your core stabilizing you. And then slowly lower your legs down to the ground. You can bend them at any moment that your back needs that support. And then we'll put our left thigh over our right thigh and draw your knees in. Maybe some pulsing, just waking up that hip a little bit here. All right, and then release your legs straight up in the air one more time. Arms overhead. Feel that length in your spine. Reach crown to tail. Full breaths. And then we'll lower our legs down to the ground, however is comfortable for you. Once you're there, draw your knees in, roll to your side, and come up to your hands and your knees. As you find all fours, maybe take a moment to just let some weight drop down into one hand and knee and then into the other hand and knee. Kind of check in, are your shoulders able to absorb that yielding? Can your hips absorb the yielding of your legs? And then for just a moment, let your belly totally drop toward the ground. Resist the urge to draw anything in. So much of the time we have this tension that can creep up into our diaphragm or our abdomen. Let's let it go. All right, and then start to move with some cat-cows, arching and rounding the spine, moving with breath. Enjoy what it feels like through each of your vertebrae. Where do you like to inhale? Where do you like to exhale? See if you can just enjoy how the breath and body like to move. And then stretch back to a child's pose and walk the hands far out in front of you. And maybe a little rocking into one hip and then the other. Feel that length in the body. Reach the fingers long. And then we'll walk our hands over to the left and feel some stretching through the right rib cage, opening up through your ribs. Relax your skull, soften the base of your neck, stretch your hips back. Find that deep breath. And then over to the other side, feeling that reach through the side of your body. Full inhale, full exhale. See if you can feel the stretch all the way into your side ribs and into your side waist. And come back up onto all fours. Find some movement in your spine. Maybe wag your tail or do some circling or swing, anything that feels right to you. So many muscles around your spine and through the center of your body. Let's loosen things up. And then we'll reach one arm up in the air, roll around in your wrist, maybe wiggle your fingers, and then drop that shoulder down for a twist and enjoy. Press a little in that hand if you'd like to. Let your head relax. And then face the ground a little bit more. Stretch the backside of your shoulder. Drop your hips back towards child's pose a little bit more. And then inhale, bring that arm back up in the air. Hand comes down onto the ground and we'll switch sides. Arm up. Give your wrists some movement, maybe your fingers. And then we'll take that shoulder down. Gaze toward the ground, let your head relax. Press a little through your palm if you'd like to deepen the stretch through your back. Use your breath as a tool to expand through your muscles in the back body. And then face the ground a little bit more. The arms still under you. Stretch the back side of your shoulder. Maybe your hips drop a little lower toward your heels. All right, and then inhale, bring that arm back up in the air. Hand comes down onto the ground and we'll find our way up to a dog pose. Take a little time. Feel free to pedal your feet to move around in your body any way that you want to move around in your body. Let the Achilles open up and the calves open up. Feel the soles of your feet broaden. Take some time to lift your sit bones. You feel free to move around in your head or in your hips or in your shoulders or your hands. Let this pose be guided by just welcoming yourself home to yourself. And the other line I like from the poem is remembering that joy is not a trick. Can you find some joy just simply in your body right here? All right, and then walk your feet forward. Come to Uttanasana. Forward fold, relax your skull. Bobble around in your head. Inhale for a halfway lift, lengthening through your spine. Let's take a little time to move your feet here. Maybe the hips, one can drop back and then the other. Maybe your feet pedal, maybe a knee bends. Just see what waking up those legs feels like here. And then spread your toes broadly on the ground. Fold forward. Let your knees bend and let your spine lengthen. Bobble your head if it feels nice. And then push through your feet, rising up, coming into a standing posture. Reach your arms overhead if it's comfy. Open up through your body. Lift your heart toward the sky. Enjoy the sense of space in your body. Now let's cactus. Open your arms, squeeze through the back of your shoulder blades, sense into the back of your body. And exhale around and chin to chest. Spread your wings. Bring your arms out in front of you. Stretch your shoulder blades apart from each other. And then slowly lower yourself back down to the ground. Release your head. A halfway lift, opening up through your spine again. Exhale and melt. Push through the feet, rising up. Big breath. And then exhale. Swan dive. Let your spine open up. Halfway lift. Big breath in. Exhale, fully fold. Step back to a dog pose. Feeling that length in your body as you stretch back. See what it feels like to maybe move your feet around again, pedaling if you want. Maybe stillness is starting to come in your body. Just take a little time, find your posture. Ground, yield, breathe. And let's come forward into a plank, holding yourself steady. Drop your shoulder blades down the back. Find your breath. Pushing evenly through your hands. Maybe even hug your hands toward each other a little teeny bit. And then we'll come all the way down to the ground. You can put your knees first to support your body. Dropping to the ground. Let's roll the shoulders here a few times. Loosen things up. Inhale for a cobra pose. Opening up through the spine. Exhale. Releasing back down. Stretch the legs. Reach them far so the pose lengthens into your hip flexors as much as into your heart space. Cobra pose. And then melting back down again. Come up onto all fours. Move your spine around. Find some space. And lift to a dog pose. Again, feel some length here. Let's reach our right leg up in the air and stack. Open your right hip and feel that length in the hip flexors. Maybe your knee bends. Maybe it straightens. Full breaths. And then we'll put that foot down and change sides. Leg up. Left leg up. You can bend your knee if you'd like. Straighten it if you'd like. But lift the hip higher than your right hip. And square the pelvis. One more time, dog pose. Walk your feet forward. Come to Uttanasana. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and fold. Take your feet to the edges of your mat and let's come to a deep squat. So, well, not such a deep squat, hips in line with the knees kind of squat. Lift your chest forward and then see what it feels like to reach your arms out in front of you to find that length. And if that's not so good for you, take your arms back by your sides and reach your hands back behind you. Press through your legs and slowly rise up. Arms coming up to the sky. Hands down to the sides. Walk your feet back in and find your Tadasana, mountain pose. Ground yourself. Maybe take a little time to come up onto your toes and then back onto your heels. And just go where your body is able to go. Having sprained my big toe, I have a renewed deep sense of appreciation for the stability of bearing weight through your toes. So when you get onto those toes, enjoy all this push off that you have available to you because of the strength of your feet. All right, and then ground yourself. Feel a sense of steadiness. Root all four corners of your feet down. Send your roots through both feet well. Inhale, arms up, lift the heart, offer it to the day. The sense of keeping yourself open and available. And then bring your hands down onto your blocks. A halfway lift, opening up through your spine. Exhale and step your left foot back. Come to a lunge. I'm going to put my knee on the ground, but you keep your knee up off the ground. And unless you want to join me, but if your toe can't bend all the way, feel free to put your knee down on the ground. All right, so open up through your chest, and then let's begin to move. We'll bend and straighten the front knee, kind of moving through this pose with the rhythm of your breath. All right, ground yourself in your lunge. Root your feet down. Inhale, rise up, crescent lunge, arms coming to the sky, back knee off the ground unless you want it down. Find the lift of the heart here. Can you open yourself up? What adventure awaits just by simply opening yourself up? Press into the feet well, engage your core to help reach you. And then we'll bring our hands back down onto the ground and switch sides. Okay, so now we'll have our left foot in front. Right foot is back, knee up off the ground. Find your lunge. And we'll start to move, bending and straightening through the front leg. Take your time, move with your breath, slow yourself down, be present. And then when you feel ready, ground yourself. Push through your feet, rising up. Root down to get your balance. Reaching your arms upward if that's comfy for your body. Press into the earth and lift the heart. Can you find spaciousness? Can you find a sense of availability in your body? Availability in your heart space and in your mind. Keep your breath flowing. Feel your roots press into the ground. And then release the hands down to the ground. Come back to a dog pose. A big breath in and out. Come forward into a plank. Holding yourself steady. And then find the ground. Knees first if you need it. Take your arms down at your sides, palms facing the ground. Inhale and lift your legs, lift your arms, lift your chest. Keep your neck long and breathe. And then relax. Put your head underneath on your hands and just windshield wiper your knees left and right. Okay. We'll come on to our right side. All right, bend your knees. And we're going to just start with a couple of clamshells. So stack your knees. You can always put a block under your head for a pillow or a blanket. Stack your knees, stack your ankles. Our ankles are going to stay together, and we're going to lift one knee, the top knee, up off the bottom knee. So left knee lifts and then slowly drops down. And see if you can do a few of them, just finding your way. See if you can stabilize, keeping your hips stacked so you're not rolling back and forward with your pelvis. Your torso and your pelvis is neutral, and it's just the rotation of the hip. Press your other leg, your right leg, into the ground a little bit to stabilize you. And then relax for a moment and just soften through your hip. We're gonna get into the hips a little bit today. Just let them soften into this position. And then we'll straighten the top leg. Keep the bottom knee bent on the ground and press your bottom leg, your left or your right leg into the ground. Left leg is straight. We're still stacked, crown to tail to foot. And then just do a few leg lifts here, stabilizing your core, pressing your right leg down into the ground as you lift your straight left leg up in the air and down. Go slow. Don't, whiz through this. See if your toes can be flexed, your feet flexed, and your toes are pointing straight forward. Use your core to help you here. Press your whole right leg into the ground. I'm so bad at remembering to count. I just pay too much attention to what I'm feeling that I don't want to count. So just go until you're ready to take a rest and then soften. Now, if you're a counter, that's a good thing because, balance on our two sides is important. So maybe, try to get that internal clock alive as we switch and do the same thing on the other side. Okay. So bend your knees. Head can be supported by a pillow of some kind. Okay, you're stacked, hip over hip, shoulder over shoulder, ribs over ribs, your knees are bent. Your ankles stay together. Only your knees pull apart. So we're not lifting our whole leg. We're just lifting the knee off the knee. So right knee lifts and then lowers. Try to keep your pelvis nice and neutral. So we're nice and stable, not moving through our pelvis. Okay. Now I know you all know this, but when you have a little bit of an injury, it's always shocking to me. One of the lessons I always learn when I tweak my body in some way is how integrated things are. Like you wouldn't think that this would involve your big toe, but I'm here to tell you it involves your big toe. So, isn't it amazing how interconnected our bodies are? So let's just appreciate all of these chains of movement that we have available to us. All right, and then just rest for a moment and melt. See if you can get that feeling of dissipation, like the rings in water dissipating out after you throw a stone into the water. Just let your muscles relax. And then we'll keep the bottom knee bent, okay? Straighten the top leg, so our right leg is straight. We're going to press our whole left leg into the ground. Stabilize with your core. We're still stacking. Shoulder over shoulder, hip over hip. We're not rolling forward or back. Toes, right toes pointing forward, foot is flexed, and let's do some leg lifts. If you're a counter, start counting. How many did you do on the other side? Maybe you remember. And just notice, is your core staying steady? Are you stacked well? Can you feel this work in the gluteus medius, gluteus minimus, even the TFL and the IT band? We'll do some work here. All right, and then relax, bend your knees again and just soften your body. Breathing deeply in and deeply out. And let's roll right onto our back so we can get some neutral territory and also some bilateral movement. Okay, so plant your feet. And we're going to lift up into a bridge pose, stack up onto the tops of your shoulders. Feel free to put a block between your thighs if you need to or want to. Ground the four corners of your feet. Lift the pelvis, open your chest, and breathe. And then we'll lower the pelvis back down onto the ground. Pause here for a moment. Enjoy your spine resting on the ground. All right, and then we'll roll over onto our side and find your way to a dog pose. As you stretch up, feel your back lengthen, extend through your body, femur bones up and back, ground yourself, breathe yourself. And then walk your feet forward. Come to Uttanasana. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and drop down. Come to a chair. You can have your legs together or your feet apart. You can use a block if you'd like to. Feel that extension in your body and just start to wake up through your quads a little bit. Press the ground away so your glutes and your hamstrings are there too. A little extra weight in your heels. If you'd like to lift your toes, you can try that a little bit to get your shins to engage. Find your core. All right, and then we'll stand up again, up onto the tippy toes if you can. And then release the heels down. Find your breath. Let's turn sideways on your mat and take your feet wide apart. Just come to a deep squat now, hips in line with knees. Open up your inner knees. Maybe you press your elbows into those knees and just stretch open through your inner thighs, getting your legs ready for some standing poses. Root through the four corners of your feet well, finding your breathing. And then straighten your legs, turn your feet straight, and release down into a Pasrita. So legs are straight, feet are broad, lift the sit bones, relax your skull. Maybe your head bobs a little bit. All right, do a halfway lift right here. Maybe the hands reach the ground, maybe they're on blocks. Wide legs, thigh bones back, shin bones a little bit forward. Spread your feet and lift your sit bones. And then heel toe your feet in a little bit and come all the way up to stand. Okay. Finding some wide legs again. Let's turn your right foot out. And your left foot can be straight or turned in a little bit. Take a deep breath in. Find your arms lifting. Let's move a little bit here. So bending the knee, moving the arms however you want, straightening the leg a couple of times. Just kind of finding that pace of, or not the pace, but the space in your pelvis. And then as we come into Parsvakonasana, I'm going to go pretty shallow just because of my foot, but maybe you go a little deeper. Just see what kind of pose feels good in your body today. Track your knee, your right knee in line with your right middle toes. Stretch your arms out to the side. Virabhadrasana too, such a solid, good posture for creating stability and strength in your body. Let's remember that adventurous, open heart available to the day, whatever the day entails. Let's see if we can open enough to look for adventure, to look for the joy, to look for the beautiful things that are going to show up in your world today if you're open to it. And then reach that arm all the way up in the air, stretch through your side, maybe straighten your leg for a moment, and then we'll come into Parsvakonasana. Elbow on your knee and stretch your other arm over your head and feel that full length through the side of your body. Enjoy your breath. Tracking your knee well, breathing well. And then we'll come up and reach legs straight, reach that right arm up again. And this time, maybe use a block, maybe use your leg. We'll find a triangle pose. So stretch open through your body. Legs stay straight, ground through your back foot. Open up through your chest. Reaching that arm to the sky, shoulders away from the ears, and breathe. A deep breath in, a deep breath out. All right, and then when you feel ready, we'll stand all the way back up and do the same poses to the other side. Okay, so find your way. Take a little time if you need to in between sides. Kind of adjust anything that needs adjusting, support anything that needs supporting. And as we find our way into Virabhadrasana first, maybe there's some movement involved in your pose. So maybe you have just a little bit of bend, kind of test the waters. Maybe your shoulders don't like going up overhead or out to the side, and you want to keep your hands to your heart or your hands on your hip. So just modify anything at all as we find our way into Virabhadrasana. Drop your shoulders. Feel free to flip your palms up if you'd like. Take the variations that work for you. Spread your feet. Drop your weight into your feet. Keep tracking that knee in line with your middle foot. Doesn't matter how deep you go into this pose. Pull back from your outer knee to your outer hip. Use those outer hip muscles. Finding your breath. So, protect your body. I'm going less deep because that's what my foot needs right now. Maybe there's something that you're working with that you have to modify your posture to be just right for what your needs are today. Let's straighten the leg for a moment. Reach that arm up, reverse your warrior, and then come back into your bent knee and place your elbow on your knee. Stretch your arm overhead. And again, maybe your hand is on your hip instead of over your head. Drop your weight into both your feet well. Keep tracking open that hip. See if you can reach from your outer knee to your outer hip and lengthen from inner groin to inner knee. Place weight deeply into all four corners of that front foot and the back foot, both. Relax your neck. Soften somewhere that does not need to be tense. right, and then reverse your triangle pose one more time. Reach that arm up. And then if you have a block handy and you want to use a block, you can use a block for triangle pose or put your hand lightly on your leg. Whatever you're doing, your hand is light on that support. Drop weight into the big toe, the left big toe mound. Reach the hip deep into the hip socket. Lengthen your spine. Move your tail away from your crown. Keep your shoulder blades down and rotate your ribs. How's your breathing? How's your sense of ground through both legs? And we'll come all the way back up. Turn your foot forward. And take some time, bring your legs back to neutral. Face the front of your mat. This time put a block between your thighs, just so you get that hugging in after the expanding outward for a chair pose one more time. And seek the stability that lives in this pose where we get to really hone in on into our balance. Reach the arms overhead if you'd like. And then maybe your heels lift off the ground so that you have just a little bit of balance work here. And then climb up onto your tippy toes. And then lower your feet back down, arms down at your sides. Pause. All right, relax that. Bring your block out of there for a moment. Stand hip width apart. Okay. We're going to reach our arms up. Now be very mindful to not go very far in this. And you can bring your legs wider or closer, kind of just find what's stable for you. And we're going to arch over to the side. And don't go very far. We don't want to deep bend here. Just go to a place where your side bodies are very much engaged to support you, that you feel your obliques and your transverse abdominis kick into gear to support you. Imagine you still had a block. Our legs are straight. And then come back up and go over to the other side and just feel that center body support you. You don't have to go far to find it. I mean, if your body is feeling very stable and you want to go deeper, you can, but don't compromise your back. Okay, great. And then come back to center and fold forward. Relax your spine. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and relax again. Step back to a dog pose and enjoy all the space in your body. Maybe reach your femur bones back so your side waists expand, your ribs expand. When you feel ready, we'll come forward into a plank, holding yourself steady again, finding your breath. And then put your knees down onto the ground, find the ground. Maybe practice any back bend that you're in the mood for. So just kind of find what your body loves and breathe your way into that pose you really love. And exhale and relax one more time. Head on your hands, pick up your feet, and just relax your legs left and right. All right, now we're not going to move into the twist that we normally do here, but forearms on the ground like Sphinx pose, and bring your left knee out to the side like a right angle from your hip joint or however far you can get it, and then take your shin at a right angle to your thigh. So you're just in a little bit of a hip opener, frog kind of pose, one-sided frog. And then notice what's happening in the rest of your body. Are you leaning over to the right side? Do you have a collapse anywhere in your spine? See if you can press your hip down, your left hip down, and use your core just a little bit to stay stable and open in that hip joint. All right, and then relax that leg back. Feel free to come down for a moment if your back or arms need a break. and then we'll come to the other side. So forearms on the ground, bring your knee directly out from your hip so you're at a right angle, and then your shin at a right angle to your thigh, and your foot is in a neutral position. So flex your foot so that also is in a right angle, kind of neutralizing it. All right, and then just be here and see if you can get a little bit of movement down toward the ground with the right hip so we're not just leaning into the left side of the body. Use your core a little bit, maybe even press your left leg into the ground. Just open up through that hip and notice the difference between the two sides. I have one side that feels very different from the other side. I'm sure I'm not alone in that. So just pay attention to where mobility, flexibility lives in your body and where maybe it has a little bit of a compromise. Right, and then we'll relax and bring that leg back. Put your head on your hands, feet up, windshield wiper your knees. Just relax your legs, especially when they move into internal rotation. Pay attention to that feeling of release when you turn each leg toward internal rotation. And if you're not sure what that feels like, when you drop your feet to the right, your right leg's going to go into internal rotation and your left into external rotation. And when you drop your feet to the left, your left leg will be internally rotated and your right will be externally rotated. So just notice that internal and external movement. Relax. Come up onto your hands and your knees. Wiggle your spine around. Maybe a cat cow or some swirls. Any tension, let it go. And then we'll lift to a dog. We'll walk your feet forward. Uttanasana, stretch open through your spine. A halfway lift. Melt again. Push through the feet, rising up. And then release your hands down. All right, we're going to move into Ardha Chandrasana. You need a block. Perhaps I always use a block for this pose. So we'll start with our right foot. You want your right foot to turn straight toward the long edge of your, or toward the short edge of your mat so that, we're not turning our foot in or out. We're keeping it nice and neutral. And you can hop up onto that right foot and lift your way into Ardha Chandrasana. Core is engaged. So when you do this, notice your leg in the air. Remember those leg lifts we did? So the foot points forward, the leg is lifting, your core is engaged. Tail long, open through your chest, unlock your standing knee. Breathe your way into this pose. There's a lot of external rotation going on in your standing leg. Okay. And then we'll come back out and just notice if all the hip work we've done up till now has given you a little bit more freedom in this pose, maybe a little bit more stability in this pose. Of course, use a wall, use a piece of furniture, use anything that you need for stability if your body is not able to stabilize itself. One of the ways, as we go into the second side, you can always, with your hand on the block, you can always walk the block a little further out to the pinky toe side so you have a little broader base. And if you know you're wobbly, if you know you're really wobbly on the block, feel free to stack two blocks on top of one another. It's a much more stable foundation for your hand than a skinny tall block, okay? All right, so as we come into this pose, I don't know that I'll be able to do this pose on this side, so don't look at me. You do you in your body. Rise up onto your foot and keep your foot pointing straight ahead, and then open your body up into the posture. Find your breath. I have my legs supported on my table, which is perfect for what I need right now. Are you supporting yourself the way you need to? Drop your shoulders away from the ears and open through your heart. Unlock your standing knee. Breathe deeply. Full breaths. Can you open up through your pelvis? Feel that external rotation of the standing leg. All right, and then when you're ready to come out from whence you came and come back up to stand. Pause in Tadasana and just be joyful for your two legs. How much stability you have, being that you have two legs to stand on. What a gift. Let's not take anything for granted. All right, last vinyasa, arms up to the sky. Exhale and float forward. A halfway lift, open through your spine. Exhale and relax. Come down onto your knees and find a child's pose. Let your back relax. Feel the symmetry of this pose. Breathe all the way down to your tailbone. All right, and then come onto your back. Let's put, first we'll put our right foot on top of our left knee and reverse our pigeon. Just have a moment here. Maybe you're rocking a little bit, maybe you're very still. Just see what feels right to open up that hip after all the work you've asked of it. Breathing deeply, melting what you can, relaxing your body into the ground. Okay, and then we'll switch sides. Put our feet on the ground, left foot on right knee. Reach back and grab the front of your shin or the back of your thigh. Or alternately, you can put one hand on each knee. Feel free to move about. It doesn't have to be a static, still pose. How are your hips? Are they balanced on the floor? Can you meld something? All right, we'll release our legs down, feet on the ground, a little wider than your hips. Drop your right knee toward your left foot, pick up your left foot, put it on the outside of the knee, and just let that right hip internally rotate. Wedge blocks anywhere you need them for support. And then come back up, feet on the ground, a little wider than your hips. Drop your knees to the left. I'm sorry, to the right. Pick up your right foot, put it on the outside of your left knee. Internally rotate that left thigh, that left femur bone in the hip joint. Big breaths. Wedge blocks. If you feel like your back gets a little tweaky, wedge blocks under your knees. See what it feels like. All right, and then pick that leg up. Bring your knees into your chest. A little bit of rocking. And then maybe a happy baby pose. Grab your feet if it feels good. And then we'll find our way into Shavasana. Take any variation. You could just lie down flat or take props, whatever feels right. Let your breath move through your body. See what it feels like to release into the ground. If you have props touching you, move them away so your body's at ease and not distracted. Notice your breathing. Feel your way into that deep surrender of the exhale. Let's begin to deepen our breathing. Feel free to move a little or to be very still. What is it that your body's asking for the next few breaths? Take your time. Eventually coming to your side. Using your arms to help you upright into a comfortable seat. And take a moment to come into the sense of oneness. Bring your hands to your heart. Can you commit to offering yourself up to some adventurous moment today? Walk outside your door, see what beauty is awaiting you. Let's offer our practice outward. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.